So today I'm gonna work on this stuff that I was working before. Just study different languages. So this is the virtual machine that I installed, and I made a clone of it just in case. After I did all the things that people said that you should do after installing Ubuntu. Just so if I screw this machine up, then I have a backup there. And I think I'm just gonna keep doing that in case I screw up multiple of them. Every time I break one of them, then I can just do a clone of the other and delete the one that I fucked it up. I tried to put this in full screen, but it didn't work. So I guess I should. Oh, the biggest problem I had with this was the guest addition stuff. And the guest addition is so the screen fits the monitor here. It's this size. You have to install guest addition, which is on here, devices, insert guest additions to the image. And mine wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why. Because nobody was talking about this. But then I realized that what I needed to do was to increase the video memory, because I was getting a black screen. But now apparently I think I didn't increase enough, so I can go full screen. Because I just tried to do that and it closed the VM out of nowhere. So I'm probably gonna have to increase the size again. So this is the stuff that I was talking about before as well. That this site is actually from FreeCodeCamp, and they provide a way to get the documents, but you have to use Ruby. So I was trying to figure out how to use this, but I'm not sure if it's the best way, because I might have to learn at least the basics of Ruby to do this. I was trying to do these commands here. I managed to clone the repository, but then when I got to this part, I got some problems. And I've installed the Ruby in this machine as well. Let me put a timer here for 2 hours. I think if I get tired of streaming, I'm probably gonna do the rest off stream. Biggest problem to do this streaming is that I can't use the 2 monitors, which is really annoying. Then I also read the documentation on Scrapy. I read a lot of it, not all of it, and then watched a bunch of videos. But I still wasn't able to figure out how exactly I could do what I wanted to do with this using Scrapy and Playwright. So I think that might be a better way to approach than the way that I was thinking about. So this code is generated using a command called CodeGen. You just type Playwright CodeGen, and then it opens up browser, and I think I'm gonna show it here. What it does actually after it initializes. Then I generated this code going through the C++ section. And then my idea was to run Scrapy for every part. But then there's 2 big problems that I encountered, which is, one of them is that some sections of the categories have show more, which means that the page can't fit all of them, so it has show more. Then you click show more, then another one shows up. But then on some of them, as you click on show more here, on the bottom, it shows another one, show more, at the top. That makes sense. And was trying to think about a way to automate this so I don't have to click every time. And I can run each block as in a function and then just repeat that function every time for each element. Because the way that I did it was clicking each one by one. So we have this show more here. I think on this one is not gonna show up at all, so I'm gonna get the last one. So for example, this one has 1,000. Then as you scroll and show more here, I think this is enough. It shows up here, another one. So I need to figure out a way to differentiate this from the other one. And the other thing that I wanted to do was to obviously run this as a function. So my idea was to separate in blocks and go through the Playwright until I get to this point, and then run the Scrapy to get this, then run the Playwright again to click the show more, get the other stuff that I want to get, and do this in one block of functions, both for the show more and the Scrapy, and then just repeat the process for as many categories exist. But the biggest problems are that the categories are always different. And the reason why I want to do this is because obviously this site can change from time to time, and they can add categories or they can add different subcategories within the categories. So if I build something that relies on clicking, then if the site changes, it's gonna break. And that's the problem. So if I do it with the class of this one, it's not gonna work. But I think I was getting somewhere there. Click here. Yeah, just click here. Yeah, so this is the div that shows up when you click there. So when you do this, the div disappears. And every one of them, the div is the same. So I was building something to loop through this. And then I discovered that this one is going to be the CSS selector for this one is going to be different from the ones that show in the top, but by a key. It's going to be nth child and then a number, and the number is going to be different and the rest is going to be the same. So I was trying to differentiate this way. And then I'm thinking that I can probably get this class every time. And this is my idea now. I'm gonna try to go over the code that I built with Playwright there. And then every time that I get to this point, then I run a Scrapy script to get all these items here. But the issue with this is that I still rely on clicking every time with Playwright. So let me show. Playwright code gen. So it opens this inspector here and then this page here. And whatever you do in this page, it shows up here. So here, if I go to devdocs.io, then it shows up page go to. And that's essentially what I did there. Then I just went here and I pressed CSS. Yes, then I selected this and I clicked this. And then I went one by one, doing the actions that I wanted to have there. So this is a different one, but that's the point. Then I copy and pasted this code into here. And I got this tip, I guess you can say, or from this channel here. This guy is very good. He has a bunch of scraping videos. I really liked his videos and his style of teaching. So I learned this stuff from him, from his videos. But then the issue is that if I do that, then if something changes, then it might screw up all the code. So I have to figure out a way to put this into a variable somehow, instead of just the show more. But then I have to use Playwright, and I'm not really sure how to do that. If I put page.click, then I'm gonna have to provide the exact number that shows up there. Now let's then figure out a different selector that does the same thing. So that's an idea as well. Then I created a script here. I saw in the documentation that this is how you run a spider without using the terminal. A spider is pretty much a web crawler. It gets information, a web scraper. I think it's web crawler or web scraper, whatever the name is. You get information from the website, and with Scrapy, usually you run from the terminal. And then the documentation says if you want to run it in another script, you have to use this process equals crawler process and call it with the spider that you want. Which in my case would be, this is the file from the Scrapy. In my case would be this one, devdoc. Actually, I have to call it by the class name, I guess. I didn't try it, but that's what the documentation said. And then I was trying to figure out how to make a callback here to this function when it hits that breaking point, which follows this, that text mar breakpoint, which follows this class here. So I figured that the way to differentiate them is to make the key bigger than true, because the first one is always gonna be the first element, and this is gonna be always gonna be bigger than true, the other show more. But then this doesn't work for some reason, and this is the way that you pass arguments, extra arguments to the callback function. And the callback function is the function that runs after the request is done, which by default is this function here. But then if you wanna, from what I understand, if you wanna call it more than one time, you have to put this argument. And then I call it here as well. To pass the item, which is the text element there. At least that's my idea. That was my idea, and it didn't work. Because I wanted to pass the text show more here and call it again with this argument and iterate through this process. So call the function recursively until it runs out of text more there in the end. But I think even if this works, it's too complicated, so I think I'm scratching this idea. I think the best way to go about it is to do everything with the Playwright, and then on the breaking points that I want to extract information, I call the spider from here. That's my idea now, at least. But first, I think I'm gonna try to get it from here. Oh, and this is a text file, robots.txt. This usually allows you to have information about how to scroll, how to web scrape the page. is the structure for crawlers like Google, which is very useful to know, but I still don't understand really well how it works. So let me do it like this. Yeah, so here is the clone of the free code camp stuff. And I was trying to do this, but it doesn't work. I don't know why, because I never used Ruby before. So I might have to troubleshoot this. I want to get the information from this first, just in case I can't do it through Scrapy, or I give up the Scrapy thing, because I want to build the whole website fast and to move on to other websites eventually. To building other websites and to I just want to have the finished thing so I can see if it's gonna help me study or not the other languages instead of spending a bunch of time, because now I think I got a good grasp of how Scrapy works, and it's just that it happens to be that this particular example that I got, I think, is one of the hardest to make it work, because you have to implement both, and there are no videos about that with Scrapy and Playwright. Which makes me think that the best approach is to do the way that I was thinking there. Use the Playwright or Selenium or any other library like that to navigate to the page, and then on the breaking points use Beautiful Soup or Playwright. But it might be that I just don't understand how to use Scrapy really well, because Scrapy also has a built-in Playwright structure there. You just put it here, yeah, meta Playwright. But I couldn't figure out how to use these coroutines with this code here. You can only put simple stuff like wait for selector, which is gonna make the page wait for the selector you want for targeting. But that's only for the initial page, and it doesn't work. At least I couldn't find a way to make it work so that it goes through to different pages also. But maybe I need to investigate the documentation as well. Investigate more than I already did. Certainly no Ruby application. Trying to install another Ruby on the yes, go. You do not have gem file in the directory where you run the command. Gem file is a file containing your gem. Settings for a current program. But here I think this has a gem file. Yeah, here. So maybe I'm on the wrong directory. Yeah, that's the problem. Because I'm not inside of DevDocs. Nice. Okay. So now I can use this one. Hopefully this is gonna be a lot easier than trying to figure out how to use Scrapy. Not find arc1. Door docs list. Yeah, so here's probably the list of languages I can download stuff from. I think I made a list in another file. Control C to get out of this. I think I'm gonna try to do this command here. Doesn't work. I'm probably gonna do the languages that I want. I had this problem before as well. I don't know what these commands do, but this actually run there, so maybe I don't have the required version of Ruby. I think I can do Ruby version 2.74. So it should be working. So let me try to run the list that I have. I'll close the window a little bit because too much reflection on the window. Sort this out here as well. Yeah, so this is the list. I'm gonna put it outside of here so I can. Oh, it's here. So I'm gonna run that list again. Here, you can just close this. I'll go through this terminal. I don't know why it's breaking this stuff. I can't type anything now after running that command. Maybe I'm escaping the. I'm getting out of that in the wrong way. Yeah, whatever. Just gonna kill this. Or blocks list. I think that's the command. I wanna I wanna write it down in the way that it's written in the list. So I don't make a mistake. So CPP I think is C++. Then I have JavaScript, Python. I'm gonna do the basic ones and the ones that I wanna learn first. Oh, so there's Django here as well. Maybe I should do. I'm gonna write it down, but we'll do that later in case it works. Because I also wanna learn Django. JavaScript is just JavaScript. Just seeing if there are any other languages that I forgot. Oh, Node. I'm not sure if it's Node.js. Probably is. So I think I'm gonna write it down. Node add part thing. Oh, let's see. Or maybe I should just put Node at this one. NPM. This Nakogiri also saw that you use this for Scrapy and Ruby for scraping. I think it's a set of rules to all the web. So it might be useful for later. Probably not gonna do it now, but to get information about this. Yeah. And Puppeteer is a version of Playwright. Playwright is based as kind of like a copy of Puppeteer, if I understand correctly. Python at 3.10. So some things here are not programming languages; they are just libraries. I'm getting this. And React. So now I think I got Redux on. Yeah, now I have all the languages that I want to do at first. I think I'm gonna do a Redux. Yeah, these machine learning ones would be interesting as well at some point. Yeah, so let me see if pressing escape doesn't work. That should be a control. Also Control Z works. Okay. So now is the moment of truth. Core docs. Download. And also I have to understand where this download is going to be saved. Node at Python at 3.10. React docs at 3. Nice. So now how do I find this? Maybe assets? No. It's probably from the site. I think on the documentation probably has explained. Hopefully it worked. Oh, here it is. It should be these ones because it only has the languages that I specify there. Introduction, basis, API. Yeah, but I'm not sure if this is the documentation itself. If it isn't, then it's gonna have to be the Scrapy way. Hopefully they have the explanation here. DevDocs aims to make reading and searching reference documentation fast, easy, and enjoyable. Dev's main goals are to keep load times short as possible, improve the quality, speed, and order of search results, maximize the use of caching and other performance optimizations, maintain a clean, readable user interface, be fully functional, offline, support full keyboard navigation, reduce context switch by using a consistent typography, and design it across all documentations. Reduce clutter by focusing on a specific category of content API reference and indexing only the minimum useful to most developers. DevDocs is neither a programming guide nor a search engine. Our content is pulled from third-party sources, and the project doesn't intend to compete with full-text search engines. Its backbone is metadata. Each piece of content is identified by a unique, obvious, and short string. Tutorials, guides, and other content that don't meet this requirement are outside the scope of the project. The web app is all client-side JavaScript written in CoffeeScript, powered by a small Sinatra SP Rockets application. It relies on files generated by the scraper. The scraper is responsible for generating documentation, indexing file metadata. Yeah, documents are parsed using local GUI. Well, I think I'm gonna download the other languages I wrote here as well. Django 4.5. Cogiter Giricha. Now we'll see. Yeah, so it is these things here. I just have to understand how to search them. The manifest file is by the app. Generate scrape a documentation. Generate scrape a documentation page. Package a documentation for use with docs download. So what if I do this? So it didn't work. I assume it's probably with no arguments. Yeah, they don't explain here how to work with the download stuff. I think this one I figured it out. So I'll probably have to open the files and see if I can find anything useful from this stuff. But the good thing is that at least it worked and I have the languages there. Maybe now I should leave this for later, and I'm probably gonna close this, which is inside this file here anyway. This project, this folder here. Now I'm gonna try to see if I can make something with this. So I think it is meta part I can erase the callback as well. Well, the other issue if I do things like this is that, oops, that's weird. I'm gonna have to make a different request each time as well, instead of only making one request to extract the information, but maybe there isn't a better way. So maybe I have to read the documentation, that's the problem. I think I'm gonna open up the documentation on the side here. So probably erase this. You have to do things with yield because the difference between yield and return is that yield keep the things on memory. So I guess, yeah, because you're parsing stuff, probably it needs to be retained on memory for each iteration. So let me think about this. I think this section here just yeah, so this one, let me open here, spec. So I want this div here. Well, the other thing that I need is gonna be, yeah, this is gonna be tough because for each one I also need to get the name of the category as well. I think I need to read the Playwright documentation. And maybe it's best to do something else on stream because probably gonna have to read the documentation a lot. Both the Playwright one and the Scrapy one. So here I remember seeing that I can use page dot weight or something like that. I think I'm gonna try to build another Playwright script on another page and see. I wanna see if I can grab the selectors that I want. How I'm gonna do this? I need to have a function that picks up things from the page itself. Yeah, I think that's the best way to think about it. If I can separate this into a small function that loops through each block, then it's gonna be a lot easier to pass in the information from that function to the spider. Oh, actually, for the spider, I'll probably need the information as well for the spider. But I don't think I need to pass it, I can just get it from the browser. Because the elements are probably gonna be the same. Don't need this show. Page click and page view is the... Yeah, for each language I also want to have a different fill method. So I guess this is gonna be the standard part for placeholder for each language that I do. It opens the context, goes through the page. Oh, but it's going through CPP. And if I take this off, still works. I'm gonna try like that. So go to the page, then search. It's probably... Then here I'm gonna put a keyword instead of C++. And because this is the issues, I'm gonna have to specify which one it is each time. Need to figure out a way to make it independent of... I also need to copy the last command here. Yeah, so each category is text and then the name. And how I'm gonna make it so that it knows how many categories it has. If I stop there. I don't think I can loop through this. My idea now, yeah, but I don't think it's gonna work. To figure out the length of these categories here. I can take them from this div. This here, this div. If somehow I could take this div and check how many elements it has. And then loop through these elements. Okay, use Control F here. And it's only matching one. So this might be easier. I'm gonna loop through these elements. If I use XPath instead of the selector. Because this is probably true there instead. Yeah, it only changes the true. If I do this, it adds this div. And I suspect it's gonna be the same thing. Same thing but with an extra div. Oh, I can make a variable equal to that. But then it's probably gonna click on the thing if I make a variable. Just wanna test something. Let's see if this works. So it's not typing. Maybe it's because of this. So I need to handle that as well. And this doesn't work because it doesn't store anything. Let me see if the problem there disappears if I do it like this. Yeah, this damn fucking cookie. I'm gonna have to research that, but first I think when I use the quotient again, I'm gonna research how to use Playwright to get, or maybe how to loop through an object from Playwright, something like that. So I can do dev.docs.io. Click this fucking decline here. Then I go here. I know that it exists there, but I want to do like this because I think it's better. And that's another problem. Oh, maybe I can scrape through here. No, but here is not gonna have all the elements. Yeah, but that's the problem. Maybe I don't need to click there as well. Just click here, then go. So I think here I also, and this step's probably not. Maybe I should try with the XPath instead. XPath. First, I'm gonna try vaults, just the way that it is, to see if it works. Then I'm gonna use the XPath. Nice, it works. So now let's test with this. Oops. If this works, then there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hmm. Of course, it's not gonna work. Yeah. Unexpected token while parsing selector. And the issue is that I don't understand this selectors very well. Or maybe I need to put true here instead. Hmm. So the index of the child elements is different as well. So maybe here I should be doing this notation instead of putting square brackets. I wish they showed the difference between the ones that you can get from the dev docs and the structure that the playwright expects. Avoid selectors, right? So that's probably my problem. I think you can close this tab. It's gonna take me to the documentation page. Yeah, but this is not satisfying. There's an XPath result based on an XPath expression. Let me run like this and see if it works after I changed. Probably not gonna work, but now it works. But I still should. I think I should change this because of the stuff they said about not the recommendation to not change the thing. So I just need to figure out how to make this work. Then I'm gonna substitute this with XPath selectors. That way I can separate them into different variables. And then maybe I can create a function. Yeah, that's my goal at least. I'm gonna put the first steps of the context outside of the function, uh, including this text decline. Then I can do the search stuff. Yeah, so this up to this point, I think I can put it outside. Then here I'm gonna make a function, substitute this to a variable, so I can do it with any language just by passing a list of languages, and then I can loop through them. Then these parts are gonna be just gonna have to see how to change that. So I get the language that I want. And I also need to research how to loop through this using Playwright, Python. Because ideally I wanna have a way to get the first div of the language, store how many categories it has into an integer, or loop through the overall categories first and put them on a separate array. And then I can create a list with Scrapy. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Because I can make the first column the name of the columns of the CSV with the Playwright, if I could do that. Then each category is gonna be one column. And then with Scrapy on each one, I put them on a CSV. And then I transpose the CSV later. Because everyone is gonna be on rows instead. If I understand, maybe Scrapy does on a single column. Yeah, that's another thing that I have to check. Because for each part, it's gonna activate one function that is gonna call. It's gonna run through how many show more it has. I'm gonna put it on a try except block, the text show more stuff. In case it doesn't have, then it just passes. Yeah, but then if it has show more, I also have to think about how I'm gonna put it in the same category. I guess I can make it on Scrapy as well, where I get the parent element and put it as title or something like that, or category, and then the subcategories I put on subcategories. Yeah, but that part is for later. I think that's just details. It's obviously good if I can get the data in a more cleaner way, in a format that is gonna be easier to change everything later once I have all the information that I want. But obviously the most difficult part is getting the information, at least for me. Maybe I can use Selenium, but then it feels like it fits the purpose of using Playwright. Maybe I can use Beautiful Soup instead of Scrapy as well. I just saw there. Then you can loop through the divs with Beautiful Soup. Yeah, I know I can loop through the information with Scrapy as well. Hmm. So that's interesting idea. Yeah, I can use Scrapy for that actually. Maybe create two functions for Scrapy. It's not this one. I think I can erase this, but the other requests. Yeah, but then I have to see how to specify. So my idea is to use Scrapy for this after I click here on the language. Then I loop through Scrapy first. I use Scrapy to loop through the div, the main div. And then I can make the columns of the CSV. Yeah, let me see how long it stayed here. So I think I'm gonna do this stuff off stream actually, because I have to read it. I have to read the script documentation a lot more to be able to do that, and the Playwright documentation. And I think it's gonna be better to concentrate. Maybe I come back later today even if I get somewhere. But I think I'm on the right track list. And then in case I spend one more week trying to do this with Playwright and Scrapy and it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna use the documentation that I already have from Ruby. I'm gonna figure out how to use that. The ones that I downloaded today. And then I'm gonna use that one to build the network X part of this. So yeah, I'm gonna do this now, and I might come back later today. If not, probably tomorrow or some other time. So see you.